Good evening. At this time, I'll call to order our Baldwin County Planning and Zoning Commission Commission meeting for Thursday, August 6th. Welcome all of you to our meeting. At this time, I'm going to ask if you will to stand. We'll have a prayer and pledge of allegiance. Father, we're thankful to you for this day. We're thankful to you for the many blessings you've given to each of us. And especially, Father, we're thankful for the blessing of a great county that we live in. We ask for blessings on our elected officials. Thankful for our staff that has put this meeting together tonight and the hard work they put into it. We ask for your blessings on this planning commission as we hear the comments tonight and make decisions to the best of our abilities. And Father, we're just thankful that you've given us this great place to live. We thank you for our first responders. And Father, they're so important to us. Now, Father, we ask that you guide us in all that we say and do tonight. May we honor you and show respect to each other. We pray all this in the name of Jesus. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This time we'll call the roll. Brandon Bias, here. Scott Schamberger, here. Michael Mullet, here. Greg Seibert, here. Michael Fletcher, here. George Waters, here. Reed Key, here. And Doug Lipscomb. All right, we have a quorum. All right, in regards to our minutes of the July 9th work session and our regular meeting, each of you received a copy of that. Unless there are changes, I'll entertain a motion that those both be approved.
So moved.
Mr. Seibert made a motion that the minutes be approved. And a second? Second. Mr. Schindler made the second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, minutes are approved. All right, at this time, we want to welcome all of you here tonight. We have a good crowd, large crowd. So we actually have somewhat two segments to our agenda tonight. I know many of you are here for the master plan that's on the agenda. Then we have several items after that, which we normally see in our application for subdivision and variances and so forth. The process is going to work the same on any of these. We'll open the public hearing. I'll announce which ones are public hearings. And at that time, we will have staff come up and do their presentation to open up the case. I'll give time for the planning commission members to ask questions of staff. And then, if you have signed up, and this is an important part, if you have a desire to speak tonight, I would say it this way, even if you think you might want to speak, you didn't plan on it, but you need to go sign up. And I say that because I'm going to call your name from this list. If you're not on this list, I won't be calling your name. And it's not to be ugly, but there's just so many people here tonight that I'm just going to call from those that have signed up to speak. So there won't be sometimes I do this, I'll do a catch-all. Is there anybody else? I won't be doing that tonight. So please, if you'd like to speak or think you'd like to speak, just go back out front. Your name will appear on our pad here. We'll call on you. At some point, I will close the public hearing. And when I do so, it's closed. We don't have any other comments. It gives the planning commission members time then to deliberate and decide what we're going to do with the case, whether we're going to, table it, approve it, disapprove, whatever that might be. So we do ask that you come to the center podium here to speak. Give us your name and address. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Unless you're representing a group, we give you 5 minutes then. So, as I said, we are going to have basically two segments. The first one will be the public hearing for the master plan. We're going to go ahead and do that since probably the largest part of the crowd tonight is here in regards to that. So we want to go ahead and do that item first. But let me go ahead and tell you that we've been approached and asked to, and hear me all the way through this, we've been asked to pull this from consideration tonight. So what will happen, I would like to go ahead and move forward with the public hearing. Give you the opportunity to share you here. It's being pulled because for a number of reasons. Obviously, there's a great concern over the document. There's also a number of municipalities that have contacted the county, so we'd like to have more input. So in regards to that, we're going to, ultimately, it'll be up to this planning commission to actually do that, but that's the request. So I would rather have the public hearing tonight. It'll give you the opportunity to share your concerns. It's obviously being pulled for further consideration. It will come back, and there will be a public hearing at that time. So this is not your one and only public hearing. You'll have the opportunity tonight to share your input. That way it will get into writing. It'll be there for them to consider it as they look at the document to make revisions to it then. I hope that's clear. So we are going to move forward with having the public hearing. It won't change, shouldn't change anything. Your comments, whatever you came with, you need to share them. We get it. They need the staff and our county officials, or some of our county officials that are here, and our elected county officials that are here. So I think they would all want to hear what you have to say or as we move forward with this. So I hope that's clear. Mr. Lund, do you have anything you need to add to that before?
I don't think so.
Okay. Let my right-hand man get my setup right for me here. All right. So I have quite a few signed up, so I'm just going to start from the top of my list and ask you to come to the center podium here, give us your name and address. First on the list is Alan Warner. Yeah, in case I didn't, I'm going to make sure I officially say that I opened the public hearing, and I always have to do this. Come on up, Alan. I need to ask on the planning commission part, does anybody need to declare prior communication on this item? I think most of us probably will have to say on this one that we probably have had some communications with several people. And I'm just going to say I've had communications with one, but I did not get into the weeds of the matter. I just discussed procedural things. So anybody else need to declare something you need to, that's up to you.
Mr. Chairman, I have to disclose that I've had 3 conversations regarding the layout and overall putting together the master plan over the last week or so.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll disclose, much like Greg, I've had several conversations over the past week since the draft has come out.
Okay.
Scott Schamberger, I've had dozens of conversations about this over the last several weeks. All of them have dealt with the method by which this master plan was assembled. That's been the context of my conversations with those that have reached out to me, not as much about the content of the document. So I do want to make that clear.
Good. Anybody else?
Mr. Chairman, I've had one conversation about this matter.
Just as a matter of explanation about that, we as a planning commission are unlike, we're not elected officials. We're appointed. Technically, we are not to have conversations about our agenda items in detail. That's why I say, if you ever call me to talk to me, I will tell you usually right up front, I can talk to you about procedures, but I will not talk the case and discuss it. We're not to be swayed by public opinion about things. That's why we have a public hearing. We base our decision on what we hear and on the facts given to us by staff. So with that, anybody else?
Mr. Chairman, I've had 2 conversations as well.
Yeah, I had the feeling everybody in this group probably got a call on this particular item. So, all right. Mr. Warner.
All right, good evening. I'm Alan Warner, CEO of Warner, and I am an affected party in the classification, or should I say subcategory of the master plan regarding farmland preservation. So my first introduction to farmland preservation, forgive me, was less than 2 weeks ago. And so upon this master plan that was dropped at a Roads and Bridges meeting back there on the 14th of July, I found out that there was a lot of other things going on in the map. So when we dug into it, our entire family properties were subjected to this farmland preservation term that's being used as a subcategory of identified land use. So at that point, I triggered a lot of phone calls with different farmers in the community. And we were all shocked and just completely amazed at how fast the train was moving at that time. All of us were hearing for the first time. And we've all been from families that have been here close to 100 years in Baldwin County. So we're talking about multi-generational established heritage farmland here in Baldwin County. And it took us by surprise. And most of us, and quite a few of us actually, are surrounded by subdivisions. We have highway corridors. We have sewer, we have water, And depending upon which side of the road that you're on, you could possibly build a subdivision. And if you're on a different side of the road, possibly one house per 10 acres. But tonight I was hoping to sort of just de-escalate the whole situation after the mayors have issued a letter and want further dialogue, that we just encourage further dialogue about what's best for the farmers in the community and those landowners having a say for what goes on in the property versus just an arbitrary ruling regarding taking somebody's development rights away without compensation. And it was always about the land. Every generation stood on the shoulders of the prior generation. And the promise was that Baldwin County was going to be better tomorrow than it is today. And that belief holds true. And now tomorrow has arrived, as you see that everybody's wanting to move to town. But we've also waited 100 years for this moment. It's our time to also choose what's best for our land. We just don't want somebody taking those rights away. So that's some of my main points tonight. Won't get too far down in the details because I feel like most of those issues I hopefully will address in other meetings.
Yeah. Yeah, and I will say this to everyone, and I think I said it early on, as much information as you can put in writing, and I think probably in your case, what I've just heard you say, your land, probably a bulk of it anyway, is within zoned areas of the county where there's developments around you, the utilities in place. That may shed a different light on, maybe yours was mislabeled, and that's why there's further consideration. So I would say that in many cases, some farmers here may have sites just like that, but there are going to be cases where there are farmers well outside of any utility range that designation still may be good in parts of this county. I know we all understand this is a very diverse county. You're in the south end, and it's just exploding here. You go to the north end of the county, they're probably looking at us, what are y'all talking about? What are y'all worried about? But we're all in the same county. We're trying to write one document to fit the entire county. And I take my hat off to staff trying to manage that somehow, put that together. But that's why we pulled this tonight, or we're being asked to, because I think what you just said, it popped up rather quick. And there's maybe some concerns and needs to invest a little bit more time in it.
And all of us amongst the farmer community want to continue to work with the county and help these guys create these highway corridors and get you good where the vehicles and these people can move. Let's not attack the farmers that you're going to need tomorrow for running these highways and infrastructure. We're here to help. Let's just work together and have a voice at the table. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Warner. Hey, let me ask before you leave, make sure, anybody on the Planning Commission have any questions, Mr. Warner? Thanks, sir. All right, James Phillips.
Good afternoon. My name is James Phillips, and I am on the board of directors of Baldwin County Cabinet. What you're doing here, or what, now I'm not fully knowledgeable of, because this was sprung on me just the last few days, but trying to protect, who are you trying to protect? The farmer or subdivisions? It's not clear, but I'm telling you, it's not going to help the farmer. Farmland, the average farmer, I'm going to use cattle, because I do cattle, I don't like plowing in the dirt. But the average cattleman age is 63 years old. You don't have to worry about these farms, they're going to disappear on their own. Eventually, these farms will be gone. Most kids of farmers have watched their parents grow up fighting day and night, barely making a living. And they don't want to do that. They've learned how to punch buttons on computers and do other trades that pay way more money. So it seems to me that the preservation of the farms are more for those people who have moved here and want to live next to a farm, and that's their view. But to legislate a zoning of agriculture or woodlands zone would have to devalue the property. And a lot of times the property is a farmer's 401k. You know, when he gets ready to retire, he may sell 20, 40 acres. And that's his retirement. That's been his plan his whole life. this would throw this up in the kitchen. Now, I don't envy the job you got, because I know in Baldwin County, you've got such diverse people. You know, I have heard farmers called greedy, selfish, disgusting, because they sold a piece of property next to someone's house and they built a subdivision. But that farmer wasn't greedy. You know, they deserve it, you know, and their generations to come. But this is not in any form that I've seen an ability to protect the farm. And I don't know how you value agriculture versus development property. How do you determine that? If I went to the bank to borrow money to buy 40 acres of pasture land, and you got this zone for agriculture only, that bank is going to limit how much I can borrow for it. The man that's wanting to sell it to me is looking at 40 acres a block down the road that got $50,000 an acre. So the numbers won't work. Now, we had, about a year or so ago, we had a lady come speak at one of our meetings, and she was with a conservation group. And they would buy development rights. And they would tell us, you know, we'll pay you, we'll have your land appraised today. We'll pay you for it. And then it'll still be your land, you'll still own it. If your kids want to build a house here or there, you can do that. But we'll have to redo the deeds where we have the development rights. So I made an arrangement to speak with her after the meeting in some depth. And I talked to her about, well, you know, these roads in Baldwin County are being put in here and there. And I have a piece of property that eventually, probably not too far in the future, there'll be a road that will create a mile of paved road frontage. Well, you know what the value of that land would do, but for the farmer that owns it, it's not going to do anything, because that's development increase in value. So I pinned the lady down. I said, are you telling me, can you guarantee me you'd never sell it? I said, so we'd have cows run along here, and then you got all these people complaining about the cows. Well, if we do sell it, we'll buy some more land somewhere else. So a guarantee forever is not a guarantee forever. So if you zone this property and you devalue it basically through legislation without any compensation, I think there's a problem. And most of us don't want the compensation. We just want our land to be able to do what we want to with that's legal. So I hope y'all will look at this and realize that there's got to be some other way to do this other than putting the burden all on the farm family.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
You got any questions?
Yes, thank you. Selena, I hope you're getting ready to do what I planned. I think there needs to be something we all need to probably preface with here. This document that we have before you tonight is not zoning. It's a master plan that is to guide the county in its future growth. It's not regulatory. It's not used to determine the use of your land. As such, it is a guide. Many areas of this county are designated what they are on this master plan because, for one, there are no utilities or infrastructure in those areas. So we're not going to call out for neighborhood developments in farmland out east part of the county when there's no infrastructure there. It's not there now. It's unzoned property. That adds another layer to this, by the way. If you're in an unzoned area of the county and you do get utilities to your property, you can go develop that property and put 60-foot wide lots in it all day long. This document has no bearing on that whatsoever as long as it's unzoned property. So this is not a regulatory document. It is a guide. The difficulty for us sitting up here, for all of you that may be here tonight as farmers that are opposed to that, I can tell you we've been in meetings when farmers have come to our meetings and said, You're getting ready to approve a subdivision next to us. We do crop dusting, we have dust from tractors, we have cows that stink. And it's almost like, now we got a conflict. We got an agriculture and a non-agriculture going in next to each other, and they don't like it. So it's a difficult task to please everybody in the county, because there's a major group in this county that like the rural nature of the county. How do we do that, but at the same time, take into consideration, which I agree with, I get it. You have value in your land, and we don't want to do things that be that, but, so that's you need to understand, secondly, this is not something we're just doing because we want to. This is mandated by legislation that we have to create this document. It has to be done. And we have to this body has to make a recommendation eventually to the county commissioners and have this document in place. So I hope that helps some. I feel like I got a target up here because our planning director, who had a big part in putting this document together, he put it together and he moved out of town. So I don't know if that's what that says, but if I could get him right now, and probably he and I got some strong words with each other, but anyway, he had to move away for a lot of different reasons, and he would normally be taking a lot of these questions tonight. So, but we'll do the best we can. So let's move on with our.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to push back slightly on the idea that this is not a regulatory document. And I'm not going to get into the semantics of, policy versus regulatory, but as written, I think the concerns of, the agricultural community are well-founded. If the document as written were accepted tomorrow, and as it states in the document itself, these policies would be used to create the next zoning ordinance change or the next change to the subdivision regulations, I believe that their concerns are absolutely appropriate, in light of, or in spite of the fact that great pains were taken throughout the document to say it is not a regulatory document. And, Shakespeare said, methinks thou dost protest too much, but there's going to be a downstream effect of this particular policy document coming to fruition because of the downstream effects of what it could lead to.
Okay. And I think you're right. I think it could be that, but you need to understand we have a zoning document in this county that is regulatory. So if you come into zoning in this county, your property is zoned. It could be, it could be agriculture, it could be business, it could be residential, whatever that might be. But if we have a document like this in place, it helps the county commissioners and planning as far as that goes. I would object a little bit in that it gives a guide to them to take into consideration things like, are there utilities in place? Is there infrastructure in place once this comes in, and how would you zone it? It's meant to be more of an input and a guide to help make those type of decisions as this county grows. It's been said, it's a living document. Once it's approved, whenever that is, it is not a done deal. Every 5 to 10 years, we have to revisit this because this county is constantly changing. And we don't know what the next 5 or 10 years. So when things change, we're going to have to revisit this plan again and make other considerations. Be a lot of things that could change. We talked about it earlier, where it said traffic changes, the type of vehicles change, utilities change. So it will constantly be reviewed. I guess we'll be seeing each other a lot over the next many years if we're around. So with that, let's go through and whoever this is, you're going to have to tell me it's Joan, and I'm sure your last name's ATD. That's what's on my pad. So Joan?
It's hard.
Okay, it was misspelled on here, so come on up.
My name's Joan Hard.
Come up here.
I'm at 24795 County Road 32, Alberta. I'm in opposition, of course, to the master plan land restriction. I feel like it's an unfair burden on the people who've invested their savings, their futures in their private property. The proposed land restrictions go, to me, far beyond that. They reduce what property owners can do with their own land, diminish property values, and limit future opportunities, all without compensation. That's called eminent domain without compensation. Planning for growth is important. Protecting our environment is important. Preserving our quality of life is important. But those goals should not come at the expense of fundamental property rights. There are better ways to achieve responsible growth, ways that respect individual landowners, encourage voluntary conservation, and involve meaningful collaboration instead of imposing broad restrictions. Baldwin County has grown because people wanted the freedom to live, work, build, and invest here. We should not respond to growth by creating policies that make property owners feel like they're losing control of what they've worked so hard for. I urge you all to reconsider these restrictions, listen carefully to the current concerns of property owners, and develop solutions that balance responsible planning with respect to private property rights. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, Clark Strong.
Good afternoon. My name is Clark Strong. I live at 11321 2nd Street, Fort Morgan. I'm not a farmer. I became aware of this program approximately 18 months ago. We worked with and had a couple of meetings with the former director on this. I'm sixth generation here. I grew up here. I did work away from here. Every time I would come back, something else that was a part of the Baldwin County that I grew up in was gone, quite frankly. I live down a 2-lane road. It looks to me like a great effort is being made to relocate the entire populations of Wisconsin, Illinois, Ohio, and Michigan to the end of Fort Morgan Peninsula. I have sometimes 50, 60 cars go by before I can get out of my driveway. If I had an emergency, my best option is just lay down, relax, and die. This place is just, I see no real control over it. I'm sorry. Now, out of this master plan, which as you point out is not regulation, it's merely a guide. It gives us an idea of what we hope we can do to make some sense out of this madness. But out of this, I think the point that a lot of people are missing is there will also be sector plans. The sector plan for Fort Morgan will not apply to somebody up in the Delta or Loxley or Robertson, okay? They're getting their own sector plans eventually, which will allow you to either have a lot of RV camps or whatever you want to have, you know, that's fine. But if we want to try to contain that for reasons of hurricane evacuations, safety, lack of utilities, then the sector plan would allow us to come to you and say, we need to look at the zoning on this property because we don't think it can support 35 houses. Okay? And that's my main concern. I think this at least lets everybody sit back, think about it, look at how the sector plans develop, and what does that area really need? What do we have to have? What about the quality of the life of the people that are already living here? You think it's fun sitting on Highway 59 for 20, 30 minutes just to get home? And it's not. You know, we just pack it in too many areas, and a lot of it's done and cannot be undone. But we can hope to make the future a little bit better. And that's basically all I got to say, guys. Thanks for your time. These are questions.
All right. Abby Epperson.
Well, our sport plan.
I just learned about this today, so I wrote something really quick. My name is Abby Epperson, and I'm at 26316 Eagle Trace in Alberta. I'm here today to respectfully but strongly oppose the proposed master plan that would place a new road from County Road 83 across Eagle Trace Road, which is a private road, to County Road 95. Most important, which not everybody, you may not know, that County Road 20 is a public paved road that already exists a quarter of a mile south from the proposed new road that connects to County Road 95. A quarter of a mile, I mean, it's right there. It's already there and it accomplishes the same goal. The new road would be redundant. A long-range master plan should be based on minimizing impacts on existing property owners who may have worked and saved their whole life to achieve. I'm in my 60s and pretty much everybody on that road is, we just can't start again over on a different piece of property. It should protect established land uses and choose the least disruptive. The affected property owners purchased, invested in, and maintained their properties with the reasonable expectation that their land would not be divided, reduced in value, or subject to future condemnation or roadway impacts when a viable alternative already exists. In this case, the proposed route appears to place the greatest burden on the private landowners, while an existing roadway option is already available. A master plan should guide responsible development, not create avoidable hardship for current property owners. I respectfully request that this proposed roadway alignment be removed. A decision made on a planning map can permanently change the lives of the people who live on that land. Thank you for listening and considering our concerns. It's either a quarter of a mile or less of a road that's already established. It's going to put you in the same exact spot. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Pat Ashay?
Pat Ashay, 365 Palmer Place, Fairfield, Alabama. I'm in the same position that some of the folks that were speaking previously today, and that is that I've known about this for probably 24 hours. I've known about this coming, but I didn't know that it was going to be today. So I'm very uninformed at this point about it. And my position being here today is simply that I hope that consideration will be given. I'm a developer, obviously in the Barrow area. And I would hope, and looking at the map, it's very difficult to determine, but there's certain designations that I see on this map in terms of what you're planning to do with this revised map, that you give consideration to such things as utility availability, which I'm currently looking at a piece that has that. But it looks like from the map, best I can tell, that property will be limited to a fairly restrictive development plan, such as anywhere from 1 to 10 acres, depending on which property falls in. I can't really tell. But I would hope that you would give consideration to adjoining properties around it that are similar in design in terms of density when you make these decisions, not just a broad stroke of this being stuck to this. I'm interested in the concept that Mr. Seaver brought up. This is a regulatory versus a non-regulatory document. I was under the impression that if this were voted in today, it would be a situation where this would be the new destination for that property. Now, maybe I'm misunderstanding. I've already been on this for 24 hours, so I'm very, at this point, not sure of all the details of it. So essentially, I would essentially just ask you to look at that when you make these determinations, that instead of just putting everything in a broad stroke, we'll look at it at what is available, what is the characteristics of the environment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Your question? Michael, and I'm gonna try my best. Dixon.
You got it. Good enough. All right, my name is Michael Ludvigson. I live on Fort Morgan Road, down the street from Mr. Strong. He's okay. I am the immediate past chairman of the Planning and Zoning Advisory Committee for Fort Morgan, District 25. I'm not here to cherry pick or get into the minutia of the master plan. What I am here to do is say, one, thank you for what you're doing. Two, encourage you to do what you're already trying to do, which is pull back and give a little more time for some more input. I can tell you, well, I'll give you a little background. My family's been on Fort Morgan for 195 years, so we've been here a little while. Property I live on used to be farmland, believe it or not. We had cattle, we farmed it, had a couple of different oyster operations, fishing, we've had it all. I spend a lot of my time, just as John Q. Public, answering questions, trying to help my family, my friends, my neighbors understand things that they don't understand. So what I would encourage all of us to do, especially as we move forward with this plan, is to try and educate people as to what we're doing. And I think, Mr. Chairman, you've done a pretty good job of explaining that to people here, what this purpose is for this document. And then the other thing, to try and drive them in to get input from everybody. Most folks like to show up after the fact and complain. We all know that. We've all experienced it. But we got to find a way. If we have to break it down by district, we do whatever we need to do, but we need to get more input. It makes our jobs easier later on. It'll make your job easier later on if we get more input into this. So I appreciate what y'all are doing. I appreciate the fact you're looking at pulling this right now. I think that's the thing to do. I know there's been some input from some folks, but I know there's a lot of people that seem to be blindsided by it, whether it's they just haven't been paying attention or what. I'm part of that group. I've just started reading the document myself. So thank you, and thank you for considering pulling that from consideration.
Okay. Thank you, sir. John Beno?
Thank you all for your time. I would like to shed some light on this in a different aspect. I am a fourth generation farmer in Alberta, and farming is not the most easy occupation in the world. You need to know, and I'm sure you all know farmers respect them. But in our operation, we have to do what's called an operating loan. And that operating loan, we take collateral out of our bank. In my case, my bank is my land. And for the bank to loan us money, they base that amount of loan on property value. And if this were to go through, I feel, I'm not an expert on this, I'm a farmer, ask me any questions, I can help you. But I feel that this would lower the value of my land, and it would present my banker a harder time lending me money every year to operate on. I also feel in this ag economy, there are a lot of other farmers in my situation that this might be the final nail in their coffin. So I would just appreciate y'all's time. I appreciate you guys thinking about that also whenever you go changing the rules and aiming the goals, moving the goalpost, or kind of changing the rules in the game. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, sir. All right. Dave Kistler?
Good afternoon.
Good evening.
My name is Kate Kistler. I live at 4232 Alton Street, Gulf Shores. I'm here on behalf of the Gold Baykeeper, our members of the board, and residents of Baldwin County we work with. For the past year, we've been building something called the Community Smart Growth Blueprint. And the goal of that document is to build on conversations we've had with hundreds of folks across Baldwin County who told us the same things. That flooding is getting worse, that wetlands are disappearing, and that runoff is clouding the water that they like to fish in, and sewage spills are damaging waters they like to swim in. That's something we put out publicly, and it's directly on the subject of the plan in front of you tonight. My biggest concern, already shared by others, is that there hasn't been much stakeholder input. We weren't actively engaged until recently in this process, and still, until I saw a Facebook post about this meeting, haven't received a copy of the plan. So, clearly we're not alone in that concern, and clearly y'all have already made some consideration to table this, and I think based on the limited input a lot of stakeholders have had at this point in the process, that's probably the right step on a plan that's meant to guide the county's growth for quite some time. There are numerous good things in this plan. It calls for watershed-based stormwater management. It calls for a countywide stormwater plan that looks at flood risk, looks at increasing rain and stronger storm events that we're getting, wetland buffers, and for steering growth to where infrastructure can accommodate it. And that vision's helpful, and we support those things. And of course, we all live down the street with somebody. And when one property paves over wetlands or otherwise damages things, those things don't disappear. The water runs onto the next family's land. And so protecting our waters is not about damaging somebody's rights. Obviously, it's about making sure one person's development doesn't flood their neighbors, doesn't cause mud to run to the creeks and bays downstream, and doesn't cause sewage spills into the waterways. But I also just want to mention, as we've had this discussion a little bit about what a master plan is and isn't, and regulatory versus not regulatory, a master plan is of course the starting line. And so whatever the county ends up doing with this master plan, this is setting the vision, the protections that hold, the things that make it implementable come from the regulatory tools that the county commission builds on top of that. So of course some of this is less for you guys and more for them, and I'll echo that at the right time. But of course, this draft leaves like the natural resources and implementation chapters left as reserved. And so the hard part of turning this master plan and the goals that it sets into what we need to do is still ahead of us. And we'd like to be engaged in that as many other stakeholders would. And we'd like to see the county commit to implementation. And so we're going to be continuing to stay involved in that process and offer our help as much as we can and offer our input, and appreciate your time tonight.
Yeah, thank you. Judy Smith.
I'm Judy Smith. I live at 27784 County Road 26 in Alberta. I own ag land and I also work for a developer. So thank you for the opportunity to speak. The draft master plan acknowledges a projected need for approximately 87,000 additional homes by 2050. It does not demonstrate how that need will realistically be accommodated. The future land use map identifies areas for increased density, but it does not show how many homes those areas are expected to produce, how much of that land is actually developable, or whether adequate water and sewer infrastructure exists to support that growth. If we are planning for 87,000 additional homes, the public should be able to see the calculations supporting that conclusion. Where will those homes be built? Which areas have infrastructure capacity today? Those are fundamental questions that should be answered before this plan is adopted. Baldwin County is unique because growth depends on numerous municipalities that control utilities, annexation, and development approvals. The plan should include a formal framework for intergovernmental cooperation so that land use, infrastructure, and utility planning align. The document also reads more like a vision than an implementation plan. It should establish actions, timelines, responsible parties, and benchmarks so the public can evaluate the progress. I also question the timing of adopting this plan while Baldwin County is hiring a new planning director. Allowing that individual to participate in refining the plan after public input is received could result in a stronger, more practical document. Finally, I ask that the county establish a formal written public comment period, hold regional town hall meetings throughout Baldwin County so that they can provide the Planning Commission with a written response of public comments before making recommendations to the County Commission. The master plan will be a guide for decades to come, and I think we need to take our time and do it right. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ben. Laura, and I'm probably going to mess up your last. Is it Delagall?
Very well, thank you.
Man, good for you tonight. Rare.
I actually didn't come here to speak, but I'm going to. My name is Laura Delagall. I'm a third generation Baldwin Countyan. I live in the Vernon Park community, which is south of Magnay Springs, and I'm in support of this plan. I like the way that y'all laid it out, and I sent you an email. I sent you an email yesterday telling me why I'm happy with it. The area that I live in has a lot of Creoles, a lot of heritage farmers there. And I just like the idea of conserving something that's been there. I like my heritage. So I'm in support of this as far as the Vernon Park community goes. Very happy with it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. All right, Tater Harris, Commissioner-elect. Harris.
Good afternoon, I'm Tater Harris, live in St. Lucie Drive, North Beach, Alabama. I heard you speak earlier and say that this is not regulatory, but this is used in touring with the staff, which comes to you from staff recommendations, which you use to base your decisions on. So it is a guideline. We also have 3 new commissioners coming in. There's 2 of us here tonight who are not in favor of this plan. Angela's here, he can speak to that as well if he would like. But creating a plan that a new commission is coming in for that is not in favor of the plan or doesn't want to follow the plan to its T is failing before we start. We have to communicate with our mayors. We have to communicate with our farmers, bank keepers, realtors, and the amount of people that I talked to over this, I probably spent 15, 20 hours on the phone with other elected leaders, et cetera, over the last 2 weeks. Putting this on the agenda this quick, 3 weeks after the fact of a road bridge meeting, and not having time for planning staff from cities, municipalities, people who have got up here and repeatedly said their land would be devalued. There was no consideration in this plan given. It's to my understanding in a meeting I sat in with several farmers and others from banks and how that would affect people's land. So if you're a bank and you can call or make somebody pay collateral down, that is damage to our legacy people that's been here, that's had farms, that's spent their career. I'm first generation Baldwin County. And I think that is a disservice to the people that stood here and been in this community for a long, long time. And we need to protect the people that's been here a long time, in my opinion. They want their property rights. They want their values. If they have to sell land at a later date, for whatever reason, they can sell less of it and farm more if their land is worth more. That needs to be into consideration. I appreciate y'all taking the time. For those of you I talked to, I appreciate y'all tabling it. I think that is the right step. We get smarter together when we put more people in a room and we have more unity and listen to each other. You know, we're not all geniuses. We're not all Elon Musk if you think he's a genius. But we can get smarter together, and when we talk and have communication and work together throughout this county, it'll be a stronger county. I believe that, and we need to do a better job of that all the way around. I look forward to bringing that to the commission and working with the other people that are elected and in the communities. So if you need anything from me, please call me. Thank you.
Michael Banks.
I ain't gonna say a lot. I got the stuff about the meeting yesterday. At that time, we did, I'm working a lot of hours. I will say, I live on Pine Road south of Stapleton. And, we seen a sign up here a couple of weeks ago. There's a old peanut field down there that's been there. We call it the old Dean's place. The house has been there 150 years. Still standing. No treated lumber, nothing else, just a good old solid house. It's been a long time. The sign up says proposed subdivision. And right now on Pine Road South, if you cross the road to get the mail, you're lucky you don't get run over. Where I'm at, there's been about 5 wrecks there, within probably 1,200 feet of my front door. And we don't have representation a whole lot. They say call the sheriff's department, can't call them. They say call Lottie. Lottie say call Spanish Fort. So, you know, we're kind of in the middle of the place. We're unincorporated. I will say, my family has been in this area since the early 1800s, since Mobile was on this side of the bay. So we've been around a while. And a lot of us been to Stapleton. I love Baldwin County. I was raised in Baldwin County, plan on dying in Baldwin County, just because I got deep roots. There's a lot of people moving in from other places. We have to ask ourselves, why did they come to Baldwin County? They love what they see. You got a lot of growth if we don't plan and do it right. If we don't take our time and do it right, Baldwin County is maybe like a preacher. You know what that looks like. We need to grow right, be sensible. We got a Baldwin County sewer system line in front of the house there a few years ago for probably subdivision off of Jimmy Park Drive. They're stacked in there, and if you spit out the window of one house, you probably will hit the next. That's that close. Maybe if you don't want a lot of impact, they would put them further apart, bigger parcels of land, put the houses further apart, less impact on the facilities and the infrastructure here. But since the sewer system come in, I got a pond out there, it's about 3 acres, and I get to enjoy a sewer system water in my pond about 3 or 4 times already. Pipes come loose, get the sewer system in there. Looks like a golf course out on top of that water sometime with all the green grass from sewer coming in. To start a Fish River watershed, so you get to go it downstream. All that goes into Fish River too. But it was planned, it was put in real quick, wasn't planned right. So in the plan, we need to make sure, in my opinion, that we make sure that people put the infrastructure in, they do it right. So there's not having an impact on everybody around. I mean, you think about farmers and stuff like that. I love the farming community. You gotta eat. They got sprawling land everywhere. Used to be pecan trees, conifers. Don't see them no more. I hate to see the growth, but it is what it is.
Thanks, sir.
I don't envy y'all job at all.
All right, Greg Bartle.
I am here representing myself, my brothers, my sons. We all have property, farmland that's going to be affected by this. We're in opposition of the portion that's pertaining to agriculture preservation. There's a few points to be made regarding that. The first point to be made regarding that is it is limited to such a small area in this county. You have 2 or 3 different sections in which it's located in. And then what you're doing is evaluating the property, or this plan, this master plan, will evaluate the property as has been stated. And then at that point, we're kind of hung on that at that level where we're at. We have had property for sale in this county since 2020. Hurricane Sally hurt us bad in our farm, and we've been trying to sell. We don't want to sell all of it, we just want to sell a portion of it. For 5 years, we've been trying to sell a portion of this property, and it keeps having roadblock after roadblock after roadblock that's hitting it and destroying it, not allowing us to get this property moved. And it's been very frustrating to us. I did have a gentleman that wanted 20 acres of it, and he wanted the 20 acres of it, and the purpose for that was to, in 25 years, to develop it into 3-acre lots. But whenever he studied it and did the record to find out what it was going to cost to make these lots feasible, he found out that all the regulations that are laid up now have put him in a position that it will cost him $2 million worth of infrastructure to develop 6 lots on this 20 acres. That's $400,000 per lot. And he said there's no way we can accomplish that. I do understand there's a big growth issue. Has been. We've been here throughout all of it. My brother sat on the very first planning and zoning preparation along with Alan Werner's father, and they developed all these plans to help this establish and help this growth come on. But what's happening in this situation is I hear the county, I hear what people are saying, they don't want it. Nobody wanted anybody else to move in after they got here. They get here, they say, shut the door, don't let anybody else in. And that's constantly what you hear, and I understand that. I mean, we were saying shut the door back then. Back in 1997, 1998, when this whole plan was developed. It's just kind of where we're at. Something has to happen, something has to change. But what you're doing in this plan is going to put the burden on a very, very few people. 100,000 people or so live here. It will be affected, it will affect approximately a couple hundred people that have land in this area. I would like a vote. I don't want the responsibility of the vote. I take it out a couple times a year. That's about what I would do with it, maybe even clean it. Somebody gives me one, I'll do it, but I don't want the responsibility. The responsibility should be shared across all of the county members, instead of just a few.
Okay, thank you, sir. Commissioner McKenzie.
First of all, I just want to say thank y'all for showing up and coming here and speaking on this behalf of what's going on in the county. So thank you. Mr. Chairman, thank you. I apologize how I look and members. I've been helping my wife. She's a school teacher, trying to get her back in her class, so I apologize. I just really not here opposing it or against it or for it or whatever. I'm just here to say thank you for our staff. The county commission tasked our staff about a year and a half ago to come up with the plan to get it started. That's something we have to do, like you mentioned. We have to do that. But we got a lot of calls. The county commission has got a lot of calls. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for what y'all do. And thank you for considering, moving it, continue it, let the other county commission maybe, I don't know. That's y'all's decision, what you want to do. But I do have, and I'm kind of glad because there's some things that I see that can be tweaked and worked on. And I do appreciate the people that's reached out to me, the farmers, the citizens, the construction workers, developers. Everybody's reached out to us. My phone is going crazy. So I told Angelo, the new elected county commissioner for District 2, get ready because his phone's going to be burning up. But I just want to say thank y'all again. And I want to say to our staff, these staff do a lot for this county. And y'all do too. And I just want to praise them for putting this together. It's not perfect. I don't think that we'll ever have a plan in Baldwin County that's going to be perfect or we can satisfy everybody. I've been on the county commission for four years now in August. And we can't please everybody. And I've learned that already. And y'all can't either. But I just want to say thank you for letting me speak. God bless y'all.
Thanks, sir. Jess Ward. Jess Ward. Okay. And I need to check. Gary Gober, did you want to speak on this item?
Yes.
Okay, come on.
Good evening, gentlemen. I live at 300 Lincoln Street in Fairhope. I'm a member of a committee in the Metropolitan Planning Organization, the Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee. I'm also a member of the Environmental Advisory Board in Fairhope and of the Pedestrian and Bicycle Committee in Fairhope. So I've been involved in these long-term planning kinds of activities with the Metropolitan Planning Organization and with the City of Fairhope. I have the feeling that the plan would likely be high quality and more likely to be highly successful if the Metropolitan Planning Organization, which deals in transportation issues, and if the city of Fairhope and other cities, municipalities, all had an opportunity to participate in the preparation of the county land use plan. And that could be done by having a steering committee in which all of those kinds of other organizations could share and participate and put together a real wholesome plan. That's fine. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, that's all I had signed up to speak. Let me just say this. This planning commission didn't produce the document. We're tasked with holding the public hearing and reviewing the document ourselves. I will say to you that there's probably, 8 of us up here, and we all have a different opinion about it. Some have very strong opinions. We said earlier in our work session that, if we'd asked for input on the document, many times when you do that, Mr. Weiss here is in the professional business where they do those type of things. It's funny how he says not many people will show up. But when you produce a plan where people can actually see it, then all of a sudden they have comments, and rightfully so, because it's hard to say what you want or don't want, but when you see somebody tell you this is what it's going to be, all of a sudden, you know either you do or you don't want that. So that's why this process works. We're not afraid to hear your comments. We want your comments. Glad you had them tonight. As I said, I'm going to open it up for planning commission members to say if they want to share their comments, but we're going to close the public hearing, and I'm going to let them speak, and then we're going to make a decision. We've been requested to withdraw this for this present time, and we'll make that decision. But I'll ask at this time, if anybody in the planning commission wants to speak to the item.
I have a brief comment. I appreciate everyone's comments tonight. I'd like to kind of piggyback off the gentleman from Mobile Baykeeper that moving forward, I think it would be good to ensure that all stakeholders, identifiable stakeholders in the county, organizations and otherwise, are able to have a seat at the table, and a very overt, seat at the table, even if, being there is uncomfortable. And I think that should include not only members of the agricultural community, but members of, the real estate community, members of the financial community, because that is, after listening to the comments, those comments seem to be the most significant when it comes to the value of property. And I think it would be important when this is put together to be very upfront with what does that mean moving forward, most especially if the plan obviously hopefully will change. If it were to be adopted as written, what would that effect be again downstream? And those questions can only be answered by all the stakeholders involved in all facets of that particular industry, agriculture, being at the table.
Okay, anybody else?
I'll make a comment. It's, I guess the first master plan or something that I saw, it showed us areas that were more suitable for development, and it showed us areas that were more sensitive for development. I hate to say this, guys, but I mean, I've served up here, 3 or 4 years, and I mean, thank goodness we got some parts of this county zoned. I mean, our things we don't like to see, the houses that we can sit out the window and hit the next one, don't want to see that. You know what? With what's already been approved, you guys would be looking at a different county today. I mean, there's 5 years in the queue. I mean, our population, about 2000, was 100,000 people. In 20 years, we doubled. Maybe to 200,000 now. They can tell us that we're going to be to 500,000 people by 2050. I mean, first time this was brand new to me when the second or third meeting, and I knew I irritated some people, but I got up here and said, I can ride down the roads and drainage is a problem. I mean, we're farmers. We get to deal with some of this. Transportation is a problem. I said, man, you're not the one. This was a story I told. I said, you're not the one whose employee calls you about a body in the ditch. What do I tell them? But call 911. Tell them I'm tired of going down the road and my phone won't hold a phone call. Call it a moon crate or whatever. We've worked with some of this. We have a cell phone tower that's on the docket tonight. We're glad to be moving forward with some of this. We're glad to have some of this county zone that wasn't, so it's a little bit more protected from just the minimum standards of our county. It shows the transportation and different things that are out there. These people are looking ahead. I mean, I can come up here with small things. I mean, these guys are miles ahead of me. They give us some, I'm sitting here with a current plan. It's about 25 or 50 pages on whatever it is, but it does not give the detail that Jay Dixon gave us last meeting. off to a different part of the world, but there's a lot of hard work that went into this. A couple of the things they talk about development trends. Our developed open spaces are increased by 40%. Our agriculture lands reduced by 21%. Our population's increased 91%. Our transportation's increased 100%. I mean, I am thankful that some of these issues have been addressed or working on them. It's not going to be perfect. This is not a regulatory document, but it helps us guide and help protect. We tried to listen to you guys up here, space these houses out, help us with some drainage, help us make this traffic flow. You help us with some infrastructure. So I appreciate everybody being here, coming out, voicing your concerns. It'll take a little bit of time to iron out some of the details, but I'm sure thankful somebody's looking ahead. Versus it just happening. We're not going to like the way it just happens. None of us like. Guys, don't fuss us for, things not being zoned. And some of what's coming, you're not going to like. Hey, our hands are tied up here in some ways. This gives us a guide to work with. And we look forward to making I think, a good start, better, and hopefully in the next few months we get some of this ironed out. So I appreciate staff. I know what went into putting this. I know what I'm looking at now. It's not. It's big detail that they went through to get this. And, I think clarification's going to relieve a lot of questions, and, we move forward in a better logical manner than what we have.
Thanks, sir. Anybody else?
May I speak?
No, ma'am.
No? Close it?
I just closed it.
Okay.
I'll just add a couple of points to the conversation. I want to echo what the previous commissioner said, and thank y'all for coming out and talking to us. Like Steve said, I do this professionally for other municipalities and counties around the state, and very frequently don't get the level of input in those projects that we had here tonight. This is the sort of direct input that helps the planners that write this document balance, preserving property rights versus how we manage and plan for growth appropriately over the next 5, 10, 20 years. Oftentimes, those are very much at odds with each other. So this is a really arduous task that they have to go through and kind of figure out what that balance is between the two. So I do want to thank staff as well for getting us to this point and have this conversation. Apologetic that we ended up having it at this point in the process, as a document is brought to us for approval or consideration for approval. But certainly glad that y'all have, brought it to our attention that we need to take a step back and look at things. And so I want to thank y'all for that.
Okay. Mr. Kidd?
Yeah, so I think I finally had time to kind of digest most of this, and it was this idea of this farmland preservation area that seemed to cause a bunch of ripples, and I get it. It's first of all, I think we all understand we have to have this master plan. It's going to happen. We have to have it, and I do agree. I think that if the master plan does not end up helping us create zoning rules, constraints, then it's no good anyway. So yes, I think that's in the end it will help us to decide how we treat different pieces of property. So I don't own 10,000 acres. Maybe I own 2, 3, I don't know, but same house, 4 generations, and I've seen, how this clash has been coming between the people that live here and just want to live here, and the growth and the density, and there's certainly a direct correlation between the quality of life and density. Unfortunately, it seems like now the crosshairs have been put on all these big pieces of farmland that are being defined as farmland preservation areas, and I think that was inevitable. I don't know that there was any way to avoid it. The crosshairs are there. I think it's worth saying that, all right, all of a sudden, the people that live in this county value what y'all have. I don't know how you quantify that, but there's value there now that wasn't there 20 years ago. How we satisfy that, if it gets satisfied, I don't know, but I don't think that necessarily the defining or the of these pieces of property is a bad thing. I mean, they just are. It's just something that is, and it needs to be defined. Just like I live in a historical area now, which came with a lot of drawbacks. All of a sudden, we can't develop more than RSF2. You got to ask somebody what color to paint your house, and we all saw a value in that happen. It was the best thing for the community, and it happened, and in the end, it will probably be a good thing. But I just think that it's going to rear its head. It's here in front of us. The crosshairs are on the farmers, and I think we really need to work hard. Listen to you guys. Thank y'all for coming out and bringing this to my attention. I would have overlooked it probably. And see if we can find a way to move forward, and in a way it's not going to be agreeable to everybody, but maybe it'll be palatable, for everybody. And I hear all y'all's concerns. I appreciate y'all voicing them, and we'll see if we can't kind of polish this thing up and do some things to make it something worth working with, and try to get a new master plan that everybody's happy with. Anyway, thank y'all for coming out. We have a hard time getting people it's hard for us to make decisions unless we have information. And every meeting we have, we're trying to get information from the Baldwin County Board of Education, fire departments, all the utilities, about can you all accommodate this? Are you able to, service this new subdivision? And we really never get answers. It's just a simple boilerplate answer. And that's not helpful for us. So one thing that this new master plan hopefully will encourage is more dialogue, communication between all the parties. We can all make better decisions, and if that's all we get out of it, that'll be helpful. So thank y'all for talking to us tonight.
Scott, hang on just a second. I heard a while ago, and I apologize to Mr. Gene Fernandez. I skipped you, and because you signed up, I want you to go up and speak if you still want to.
I appreciate it.
I apologize for that.
I'm a farmer, and I live on County Road 87. We have 265 acres total. I agree and disagree with things. I'm kind of in the middle, but I know there's something called sustainability. Everybody may want to live in Gulf Shores, and we're going to have another Miami in Gulf Shores. It doesn't fly. We have limited resources. We only have so much groundwater. Some people don't understand the aquifer is there, but will it sustain what population growth? We need to look at that. I'm not trying to take away development rights, but I know that sometimes developers come in, they take advantage of the system. They get the county to put in roads, all the infrastructure. Somebody has to pay for the police, someone has to pay for the fire protection. We have too many volunteer fire departments. I'm a Western Volunteer Fire Department. But volunteer fire departments, in the middle of the night, I was getting up at 3 or 4 in the morning to do that. But you can't depend upon that as you get these developers. And I've had developers approach me, and I live on, like I said, County Road 87, and they want to buy my property for this amount of money. And it's nice, but I think there's something called impact fees, and the county needs to look at that. If they want to develop, let the developer pay for the impact fees. And I know someone got up here and said about, well, the developer didn't want to buy this because it's going to cost this amount of money. Well, if it costs that amount of money, I don't want to pay for it. I'm an existing taxpayer. I'd rather the new people pay for it. And that's kind of what I wanted to say. And I'm glad there is a plan. And I didn't come in, I grew up in Mobile County, and I came over here to live after I lived in, I'll tell you, California. And I saw California go from areas that were very agriculture to very overdeveloped urban. And the quality of life goes down. And I'm one of those people, I'd rather have quality, not quantity. And I'm glad that there are people on this committee that feel the same way. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Scott?
Yeah, I would just like to add a couple of things. Regardless, as I touched on in the beginning and during the work session, the content of the document, right, is one thing, but I think the method by which we have performed our discovery and looked at this is another one. And it's really clear that, obviously this adversely impacts the farming community. They're out tonight in large numbers, and we're glad you're here. But I think mostly what I feel like needs to be accomplished is a platform for engagement and for this feedback prior to items like this being placed on the agenda to be voted upon. And so that's something that I think as we move forward, we really need to look at doing a better job of communicating. Certainly this impacts the agricultural community, but it also impacts every citizen within the county, arguably, right? And so we need to do a better job of making sure that all of our citizens have an opportunity to express their concerns. You're right, we're not going to be able to make everybody happy. We're certainly going to be components of the plan that you may not agree with or that you love. But if we don't give everyone an opportunity at least to voice their concern and provide their input, then we're doing a disservice. So I think that's important as we move forward, and I would challenge our current commission and our incoming county commissioners to really look at that and determine the best way to communicate with our citizenry and support the staff in doing that so that we can get this level of engagement on a more consistent basis. So that's important, I think, as we move forward. One other matter I'm going to touch on that seems to be danced around a little bit is the idea that this master plan is a guiding document, not a regulatory document. It certainly, I believe, is written to be a guiding document, but I feel like at times it is implemented as a regulatory document. And so that is very important for our planning and zoning team and staff and the commission to look at as we move forward, because it does dictate rezoning requests and things like that from a staff level. And we need to provide our staff members who are extremely talented and educated some level of discretion when these development projects come in to allow us to raise the bar on what developers are doing. I know there's developers in the room, myself, I participate in that as well, and we don't want to meet the minimum standard. We want to provide opportunities for great developers to raise the bar and do good things. And so I think it will be important as we move forward to really give our staff a little bit more discretion in that and not be handcuffed by a master plan that is dictating something that could happen for us 5 or 10 years down the road. So we do need some fluidity in the document in real time as we move forward. So I was redundant in a few of my comments, so I apologize, but I think it's important for me to reiterate those. And so again, Frank, you, your team, everyone, thank you so much for the work on this. And I know that the outcome will be a much better product for us all. So thank you.
Any other comments? Okay. Before we take a vote here, I'm going to suggest one thing. If you spoke tonight, your comments are on record. If you didn't speak and you want your comments heard, please send those to the planning department so they can be considered. Or if you did speak tonight, you've got something else that came up, please put those in writing, get them to the staff so that they can be considered. I don't think any of us know at this point when this will resurface, but it will. But there'll be another public hearing on it. It'll come before this planning commission again because our task is given to us to make a recommendation to the county commissioners. And when they hear, they'll have a public hearing. And so there'll be more opportunities for you to have comments if you so desire. All right, if nothing else, I guess we need a motion to address this particular item.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we withdraw the draft master plan in 2026 from tonight's agenda. Second.
All right, Ms. Chandler's made the motion that we withdraw. Mr. Bias has seconded the motion. Any comments on the motion? Questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, with that, I think I'm going to give a moment for those, many of you that are here. If you choose to leave, we'll let you do that. We'll take about a 5-minute break until you get to the